Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome. We are recording now. Let's behave ourselves. Okay. This Shiur is Lil Nishma Sovi Moira Menachem Ben Akiva, Ruth Bas Shalom Sol Bas Moshe, Aviva Bas Moshe, Eni Resha Bas L'Chon Yitzchak, Ule Hatzlochas, all the soldiers, all the quick redemption. We're going to talk today about redeeming fields, redeeming people. May all the people that have to be see redemption in every possible way may experience redemption. Bezos Hashem. And this year is also Lofuas Prina Chaya Bas Geula Rochel and Chana Bat Sima. Weekend. It's Thursday today. I will not start this year before we go and look at this chart. I try to make the chart more readable for our viewers online. Okay, so the Torah says like this. We're talking about a person who sold a field. Yeah, a regular field. A person who sold a house, and the house we're talking about is a house that was sold bote ori choimo, a house that a person sold inside cities that are walled cities from times of Yeshua. Yes, those places that have the other Purim. And then there's a person hekdesh. A person was makdish his field when obviously this all applies when Yovel is around, and the person was makdish his field. Now, okay. By field, it says that for the next 2 years, the person cannot do an early pidyon. That's I called it early. Yeah, you cannot redeem your field, from the buyer. Redeem basically means buying back. You're not allowed to buy back your field from the buyer in the first 2 years. Yeah, shnei. It says shnei shonim. In other words, you have to allow him 2 years of what? Allowing him tranquility, of allowing himself to basically sow the field and have some agriculture. Later, and no, he doesn't live at Shiloh. Actually, no, he doesn't. He works the field. He tills the earth, and then later, then he, after the second year, the person may, and actually it's recommended that he should, yes, be able to be to redeem. If that didn't happen, then anyways, by Yovel, he goes out. By Yovel, the field goes back to the original owner. Half will be discussed later. Today's sugi is about the half-halves. That's a different story. House. A person was makdish his house in the walled cities, dafka, they have more importance. Then, if you manage within 1 year to be poide, you're allowed to be poide. It's good to be poide. Buy it back within the first year. Hence, number one here. Yeah, within the first year. After that, gone forever. And even Yovel doesn't do the trick. Yeah, you cannot be poided forever and ever, and it will be the new person's field. It'll be his new apartment in the holy city of Yerushalayim or Akko or maybe Tveria, forever. Hekdesh, a person was makdish something to Beis Hamikdash. Now he wants to buy it back from Beis Hamikdash, which will be good because then Beis Hamikdash will have money. So now he is allowed to be poided. There's no limitation regarding when he can be poided early, first, second, third, fourth, fifth year. It's all the same until the Yovel. What happens in Yovel? What happens in Yovel by the Hekdesh? What happens then? It goes to the Kohanim. It doesn't go back to the person. It doesn't go back to the Makdish, to the one who consecrated it, but rather it goes to the Kohanim. Which Kohanim? The lucky ones whose Mishmar, their family works in the week in which the Yom Kippur of the Yovel. Which day of Yovel does everyone go back? Everything goes back. Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is when you relieve yourself from your sins and you liberate yourself as a slave, or your land gets liberated, and then the Koyanim get it. But that's it. The person will never see it anymore. This is a chart. I think it's quite clear. I was very happy to make the chart myself because that made it clear for me. And since this is only the beginning of the story, we better have those facts right. Yeah, the question now that the Gemara is about to ask is about half-half, which means about a field. It says regarding a field, it says kedei geulosoi. Kedei. The word kedei geulosoi. Why is this doing this to me? Kedei geulosoi means that kedei, enough. Only if there's enough to actually redeem your field from the other person, when you can, from the second year till the 49th year, then you can only be poide if you have the entire amount. Yeah, in other words, if the field has to be bought back from him, it's 20 years to go till Yovel. You have 20, let's say, 1,000. You can't say, okay, 10,000 now and 10,000 later, and half of it is already mine. No, it has to be 20,000. Maybe you can do it betashlumim in installments. but then there was no pidyon. You explained in Ufkina yesterday. Now, in Hekdesh, we're going to see, I'm a little bit spoon feeding you, but not much. But Hekdesh, it says no. It says Goal Igalena. We're going to see soon. The pasuk says Goal Igal, Goal Igal, Goal Igal. I'm sorry to say, doesn't mean he shall surely redeem. Goal Igal means that he can. By Hekdesh, you may be poide. Goel and poide is the same. Redemption, redeeming. Yeah, you may be goal from Hekdesh even halfway through. In other words, you can be goal from Hekdesh half will be yours, and then the other half later, or 3/4, whatever. The question we have right now, our sugya begins in the following story. What happens with a house in Bote Orechoima? Yeah, you're makdish your house in Akko, in a walled city, and now you only have half the amount. Yeah, it's quick. You only have 1 year to be paid. Quick. Sounds like the taxes. Yeah, you got to run to the accountant. You have to run to the what? To the buyer. You have money to buy back your house in the walled city, and you only have half the amount, at least half I'm going to get. It's a nice old house in Akko worth, I don't know, 2 million shekels maybe. 1 million you have, the other million you don't. So maybe 1 million you can have, maybe yes, maybe no. Shall we compare it to the field where you cannot do that? Shall we compare it to Hekdesh when you can do it? Okay, that's the question. Okay, good, fine. Now let us continue. Fine. Now we're actually not continuing, we're starting. Yes. Okay. Boy min Rav Huna bar Chinan Rav Sheshes. Rav Huna bar Chinan asked Rav Sheshes b'siyata d'shmaya. Hamoicher bais b'bote Orechoima. One who sold his house in a walled city. Niga lechatzoin or einu niga lechatzoin. Yeah. Can you or can you not be goyel halfway through? I didn't see anything in the Meforshim, but answering someone's question yesterday, the same thing should be a quarter, a third, or an eighth. I think it means parts of it. Yeah, chatzoin many times means can you go by fractions, or does it have to be all in one go? Yeah, the kedei giul also means that you cannot do anything besides the whole. Yeah, as we said by Sode, the amount. What did I say? Yeah, the amount, of course. Yeah, or maybe you can even be paid 90%, 10%, 30%. What's the question? Geulosa misdeh achuza gomar. By sdeh achuza, it says the words kedei geulosoi. Yeah, kedei geulosoi. Kedei geulosoi means that what's kedei? What's day? Enough. Only when you have enough, the sufficient amount, you can be poide. Oh, zerashava. Here it says geulosoi by the field, and so too by the house. By the house, it also says the word geulosoi. Zerashava geulosoi. Mas de achuza ein nigelas lechatzoin. As de achuza cannot be redeemed halfway, it's all or nothing. Afainami, so to here, ein nigal lechatzoin. So too, the house in the walled city cannot be redeemed, cannot be bought back unless it's all or nothing. Okay, that's one way. Dilma, or maybe eicha de gali, eicha de loy gali. Whenever the Torah was megale, whenever the Torah informed us, revealed us the fact that you're limited not to be poide unless it's an entire pidyon, l'chatzoin, no chatzoin. There it says it. Echad loy gali. When the Torah didn't say it. What does it mean? What about Zerashava? Zerashava doesn't always work. In other words, because there's an extra word kedei geulosoi, maybe that's exactly what the word is coming to tell me. Only here, kedei geulosoi. Only by the field, the Torah says kedei geulosoi. By the house. So on purpose, the Torah omits the word. Maybe to fight that the Gzerashava. Maybe not. Maybe the Gzerashava is stronger than the Diuk. That's the question. It's a Shaila, not in Svara. It's a Kabbalah Satoira. Omerle. So now answers Rav Sheshes. Mimidroshe shel Rabbi Shimon. We're going to see it's a Machlokes Rav Shimon and Rabbanon from the Medrash of Rabbi Shimon Nishma Sheloi v'Goel Chatzoin. According to Rabbi Shimon says, can you be part of your house halfway? Rabbi Shimon says yes. Midoshel Rabbi Shimon, yeah, it's a yes. Rabbi Shimon says yes, you can, yes, you may. Rabbi Shimon Matam, what's the reason that you may be poide not the field? Why do you keep saying the field? How do you know that you can be poide the house in the Bote Orechoima halfway through? How do you know? Lefisha Matzinu, we found he uses logic. Lefisha Matzinu b'moichas de achuza sheyofa koichoi. Moichas de achuza has a yofi koicho, has an advantage. What's the advantage? Shemigia yoivel veloy nigalo. Let's say came the yoivel and your regular field was not yet redeemed by yourself, your relatives, nobody took action to buy it back, bring it back to the family, and yet chozeres lebe'alel beyovel. Yovel field, yes, it's a tick. Yeah, it's a you tick the box. Yeah, Yovel, absolutely. A regular field goes back by Yovel, like you learned in school. And yet, on the other hand, Hura Koichoi, it has a disadvantage. When it comes to Kedei Giuloso, we see no, you don't do that. You can't be goil halfway through. So there's 1 plus, 1 minus, right? Okay, you have 1 plus, 1 minus, okay? Makdish, if so, Makdish, Shehura Koichoi. Now, we're talking now about Hekdesh before we reach the house, which is we want to talk about. Makdish, yeah? Makdish, Shehura Koichoi. Makdish has a minus, a disadvantage. Shimigia Yovel Velo Nigalo, Yoitzel Koihani Be Yovel, right? What happens by Hekdesh? When Yovel arrives, Yovel came, you don't get it, the Kohanim get it and not you. That's this red X over here, yeah? So you see it has a disadvantage. Then what? We give it another advantage. That's why Rabbi Shimon is explaining to us why the Torah says what it says, and that's why by the Hekdesh you may be goyelit lechatzoin. Let me explain to you Rabbi Shimon's logic. Rabbi Shimon actually is pure logic. Rabbi Shimon says as follows. Rabbi Shimon's Shita, for those of you who remember from Bov Metzia about Beged Almono, Rabbi Shimon says, whenever the Torah tells me something, I can try and understand the reason why, not stop understand the reason why to say a nice word at the Shabbos table or to go into the Soides Torah. I try and understand the reason why to a level that it would make a difference la halacha. Rabbi Shimon says, following the Torah's reasoning, the Torah's logic, deep and understand. I can try and deeply understand why the Torah says what it says, and upon that decide halacha. Says Rabbi Shimon something very, very simple. The Torah, there's a saying in my father used to tell Rabbi Shalom, Hashem never hits you with 2 sticks. In other words, you get something bad in one way, you get something good the other way. There's always a balance in life. The Torah wants to keep the balance, says Rabbi Shimon. It's that simple, and I'll prove it to you from Ekdesh. Look, by a field, it has an advantage, goes out, B'yovel back to the owner. That's why we say no half. Hey, why are you so greedy to go and buy half? You'll get it in Yovel. That's exactly by Hekdesh, the same logic. Hekdesh, once Yovel arrives, will be a lost case into the black hole. You'll never see your field again. That's why the Torah is giving you a candy. How's it called? The stick and the carrot, right? The Torah is giving you a carrot. Yeah, because there is a stick already. The Torah is giving you a carrot. You can do halfway. Very good. In other words, the Torah always wants to balance the game of, there's a chumrah one way and a kula the other way. Following that, what's going to happen over here? Now we know what Reb Shimon is why he's holding, what he says. Says the Gemara. If so, hi moicher, the beginning of the line. Hi moicher bait bebotar choyme nami. Same idea. Ho'il v'hura koichoi she'im molo l'shon tmima v'lo nigalo. That house has a disadvantage, right? Because if you didn't manage to quickly redeem it within 1 year, 1 year goes by very fast, right? In our age, yeah. Then if you didn't manage, then nechlat. Nechlat means gone forever. In the hands of who? The hands of the buyer. And the buyer will not have to give it back to you in Yovel, not to anybody else. So over here we have an X. We have a disadvantage. Logically, that's why over here, when the Torah doesn't say anything clear, because we don't know yes, no, Gzera Shava, for my own logic, I will use the Torah's logic and expand on it and expound on it and say, now I know that if there's a disadvantage, the Torah is limiting you in one direction and you will never ever see your field again, your house again. Mimele makes sense. We're trying to accommodate and facilitate in a different way to balance it. And we say, if you have half the amount or 3/4 of the amount or 1/10 of the amount, do what you can. You only have 1 year. That's Reb Shimon's logic. That's his opinion. Ad kan hakofa aleph. And that's why Reb Shimon holds that by the house, halfway house. Stop. Yes, I'm joking. The house, the house in the Botar Choima, can you be paid a half? Says Reb Shimon, yes, yes, and yes. Okay, that's Reb Shimon. Frag the Gemara. Very good. You see the chart, I think it's very easy. Yeah, are we all good? Pshat, no ifs and whens. You have a pshat question?
No, you don't like that. It says here that if one borrows money to redeem the house, then it's half-half. He's borrowed money and he's redeemed the house with the money. So that's what it says here. It's borrow money.
No, there are two different halachas. As far as I know, I'm sure Altron knows better than me. No, he says, yeah. In other words, they learn it's connected. Okay. He's saying that we mentioned yesterday. Thank you for the reminder. You said yesterday there's a halacha that you can't borrow the money in order to redeem. It has to be your own money that you gain, that you borrow, that you didn't borrow, that you earned, you gain, maybe from Yerusha, if not from your hard-earned work, work, whatever, from your Kolan stipend, yeah. So you're saying, and besides that, I thought it's two separate halachas, loive v'goyel, and also goyel chatzayin, and also you can't be goyel halfway. So you're saying it's all connected? That's what they're saying? What do you mean? If it's your own money, then you're allowed to be goyel halfway? It's really doesn't sound like that from the continuation of the sugya. I'm sorry. I don't know. No, I don't know. But the Eved Ivri who said "Ena goyel chatzoyin," and it meant you just can't pay for half an Eved. Nobody spoke about loiva over there. Okay, I have to look up the sugya in Erchin. This is the source of our sugya. Okay. Again, if there are Poshup Chat questions. Okay, the way I understand it, Bekitza, you don't do half and you don't borrow. It has to be your own money and it has to be the entire amount. I may be wrong. I'm going to look into it later. Okay, yes. Quick ones. Quick pshat. Yes. Okay. We're going to bring a contradictory Braisa to what we just said. Eseve. Yeah, line starts with the word Eseve. Oh, the focus of the Braisa is going to be Mr. Hekdesh. What did we say? That Hekdesh, an introduction for the Braisa. We said that by the Hekdesh, yeah, we said by Hekdesh as follows. We said there's a posuk in Hekdesh that tells me, it says Goy Yigal, we'll see it in the Gemara, comes to tell you, when it comes to Hekdesh, you may borrow money and redeem, and you may redeem half of the field that you designated to Hekdesh, that you consecrated to Hekdesh. There is Chatzoim, you can play with fractions and buy back fractions with borrowing, without borrowing, also from Hekdesh. Okay? How do we know that? Who told us that? Look at that. Im Goel Yigal, yeah, Melamed comes to tell you, Sheloi v'goel chatzoin. The word Goel Yigal repeating themselves is Goel, and again Goel, means you can do it half-half, you can do it in installments, and every time it's separate. Now, the entire Brisa is now about to tell us, this is something very important to concentrate on. The Brisa is explaining us, and it's not a short Brisa, why the Havamina would be otherwise. The Brisa is taking now great length to explain, topsy-turvy kind of, why would have I, the regular reader, the regular person who've read the Torah up until this point, up until this pasuk, why would have I thought that by Hekdesh you would not be able to be poidel chatzoin? Yeah, okay, that's going to be the focus. So gear your minds now to think that why would Hekdesh field would not be able to nigal chatzoin? Because if I know from my own, had I known with my own logic, my own svara, that Hekdesh can be nigal chatzoin, I don't need the Torah to tell me that. Does the Torah have to tell you don't fly in the air without a plane? Does the Torah have to tell you two eyes and not three? Nobody has three eyes, as far as I know. Yeah. In other words, yeah, the Torah only tells you Kiddushin, right? The Torah is mechadish to you, big news, that the field of Hekdesh that you install, that you makdish, you consecrated to Hekdesh, you may be poided lechatzoin, you may, right? Mashma, I would have strongly thought that you cannot be poided lechatzoin halfway. The question is why. Now we're ready for that. Yeah, we clicked on the right mindset. Zog the Gemara zod, Valodinu, Shiyochel Valodinu. I would have said the Kal V'chomer as follows with my own logic around Kal V'chomer. The one who sells the Sdei Achuza, the one who sells Sdei Achuza is a field. By the way, Achuza, it's because it's an asset that came from his father's. There's a type of field that he bought. We're not going there. We're talking about a field. When I say field, it's a field that was inherited from his forefathers. What's the advantage of a Sdei Achuza? She'im igia yovel Yeah, I don't think you have to point to the chart. You can already see for yourselves the what? Yovel. The one that has the advantage of Yovel working for the seller, for the original owner, is Yovel. With the Achuza, nothing happened, nobody redeemed. Poof, nothing has to happen. Just Yovel comes, Yom Kippur of Yovel, and the Soda, the field, goes back to the owner. That is an advantage of the Yovel, the field. And yet the same field has a disadvantage as a Chumrah. Now we already know that, and everyone agrees to that. Everyone agrees and loive because there's kedegul also. You can't borrow and borrow halfway through. If so, makdish shehura koichoi, a makdish has a disadvantage. Shimigia yoivel velo nigalo yoitzel kohani beyoivel. Right? That's it. Yeah, we know that. Excuse me, hekdesh. This one, hekdesh came to yoivel. No good news for you, Mr. Makdish. The field goes to the Kohanim that happened to work in Beis Hamikdash in the week of Yom Kippur. Okay, so here we have an advantage, and yet a disadvantage here. Here we have a disadvantage. Ah, this is Rabbanu, not Reb Shimon. In other words, usually, if your name is not Reb Shimon, you guys know, you've seen enough Gemaras to see, usually when it comes to Kal V'chomer and all these, whenever a halacha has a chumrah, it tends to have another chumrah. Yeah, it's like attracting all the chumras or all the disadvantages. And when halacha is kula, it attracts the other kulas. The opposite of Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon is a free thinker. Reb Shimon is different. He thinks that you always balance the chumrah and the kula in this halacha. But Rabbanon, they say no. They say mapitom. I would have said, now I'm on purpose erasing the tick over here because we have to play the game as if really there is chatzoim. If not this, I would have said that no, you can't be goy lechatzoim. Why? Because if the field that you can be poide by yovel, it's a good boy, he has a maila, and yet you're not poide lechatzoim. This one that already has a bad point in his book already, he has a bad mark. Kol sheken, I would have said no. I would have. That's not the truth here. I would have said no. You can't be poide halfway. That's your logic. That's the logic of Chachamim. Okay, Mimele, the Torah is to tell me, no. Yes, you can be pointed al chatzaim to be mechadish against this Kal V'chomer. Frag the Gemara, excuse me, let's bring another guy into the story. Excuse me. Male moichers de achuza sheken hura koichoy legoel miad. Excuse me, Esdeh Chuza, it's not Esdeh Chuza doesn't have all the advantages, like you're saying. Esdeh Chuza has a disadvantage. Look, because we say Hura koichoy legoel miad. Esdeh Chuza, can you redeem your Esdeh Chuza straight away, right away, in early pidyon? The answer is no, you can't, right? Excuse me, a makdish may. A makdish has an advantage. A day and a half or whatever, 5 minutes after I was makdish the soda to the Beis Hamikdash, to the Gizbar, I can get it back. So your formula is wrong. In other words, you're saying he has a plus and a minus. Polshekin, he has a minus. No, here, look, he has a minus over here and he has a plus. So it's not true. You're trying to portray a picture as if the field is always better, more kula than the hekdesh. Not true. You see that they both have a chumrah and a kula. Look, clearly. Yep. And says the Gemara, no, look at the third guy. Here he comes, Mr. House. The house proves the point. That proves your logic wrong. Look, this one, the house, has an advantage. It has an advantage of what? That, right? Ignore this. We're only going to talk about it later. Ignore this for now. The Gemara, we're not done yet. Look at here. You're saying what? You're saying that, the Hekdesh has an advantage of being nigal right away, okay, and all the time. And Mimela, I would automatically know that you can do half. You can do, I don't need the Torah for that. Not true. Look, a house, what about him? A house, you can be poida. It's easy over here. There's a leniency over here. You can be poida him straight away, just like the Hekdesh in that term, right? And yet we see that, and yet we see that you see that he's not so same thing should be over here. I would say the Hekdesh has the same quality as the house, and I would say that he's not nigal chatzoin, right? That's what the Torah has to tell me what it tells me. So far, so good. The Torah is to tell me, I would have, at this moment, I would have thought, if not for the Torah, that you may be goy l'chatzon because it has this advantage, right? But listen to what we're saying. I already told you it's a machlokas Reb Shimon and Rabbanon. The Gemara didn't know that. The Gemara says it's a question against Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon, you said that you may be goy l'chatzon in a house, and here we see that you don't. And says the Gemara, Lo kasha. The answer now, it's going to get much clearer. Lo kasha, it's posted to different people. Ho Rabbanon, ho Reb Shimon. Machlokas, this is Reb Shimon, and these are Rabbanon, which is very, very good. Let's explain again. In general, even if you didn't get all the details, there's a big hashkafik, almost machlokas over here. According to Reb Shimon, we always find the balance. What's easy in one hand should be harder the other way, right? And that works very well according to Reb Shimon. If you follow the chart according to Reb Shimon, whenever you have one plus and you have one minus to mitigate, to balance it, very good. If so, says Reb Shimon, I believe that here, because we found a chumrah, we will find a kula. We find a chumrah by Yovel and also a chumrah here, which we didn't talk about yet. Then there's the kula that the half should work, because I believe that's the same way by Hekdesh. Because by the way, the truth is by Hekdesh, you can be goy l'chatzoim. The truth is that you can. Says Reb Shimon, look, they're all the same. We're going to see other details later. It's not the end of the story. We still have to deal with this. The Gemara will deal with it. But so far, so good. Whenever there's one plus, there's one minus. Rabbanan said no. Rabbanan said the other way around. The more minuses, it's all extreme. If you find one advantage, you'll find another advantage in the same halacha. Halacha that has one disadvantage would have another one. And therefore what? Therefore, according to Rabbanon, except that the Torah gave me a chiddush gzeres hakasuv that by hekdesh there is goy halfway through. Yeah, but that's an exception to the rule. But otherwise, they would say, look, since there's a disadvantage of yovel by house, disadvantage here by half, advantage here, yeah, by shenkin over, excuse me. No, here, we'll go here. You see that by house you can be poida, yeah, then you can, according to Rabbanon, you cannot do halfway half. The shenkin here, you cannot be poida straight away, then, no, it's called the yovel. They always use other factors for the balancing act, and it's not yet done. We're going to see how all the factors are going to come into play later on. But that's a general hashkafa. According to Rabbanan, we balance it. According to Reb Shimon, we balance it, and we come up with a maskana that according to Reb Shimon, the house, yeah, you can be part of half. You can. According to Rabbanan, you can't. Rabbanan say you can't. No, you can't be part of because that's how they learn the non-balanced way. If we're machmir once, we'll be machmir once more. Now, okay, it's not yet done. We're still in the middle of the process, as we're going to see soon. Now, meanwhile, there's like a small issue to deal with, in parentheses, very, very, very easy, and then we'll continue our journey. Tani chada loivi v'goel v'goel l'chatzoin. We see another brisa that says clearly regarding a house in a walled city that says loivi v'goel v'goel l'chatzoin, that you may be paid halfway with borrowing. The Tanya idach, another brisa says en loivi v'goel v'goel l'chatzoin. Another brisa says just the opposite. So the chor it's a stira. Can you or can you not redeem your house that you sold to someone in a walled city? Lo kasha. Now we know the answer very clearly. Rabbanan or Reb Shimon. Very good. According to Rabbanan, you cannot be paid halfway. According to Reb Shimon, you can. That's pashut. Now we're continuing the journey of the last brisa. So again, what did we say in the last brisa? We said in the brisa that we compared the hekdesh to the house. And we said, look, they both have the same inyan. The house, by early redeeming, you can do. So too by Hekdesh, right? You can both. And yet we see by the house, they hold that clearly it says that you are not allowed to be paid a half. No. So I would have said that the Hekdesh is the same and you cannot. Comes the Torah, big news, goel. No, you can be paid a half, and that's a big chiddush against logic. This is against logic, right? Okay. So the Gemara, excuse me, you're ignoring some factors here. You're ignoring ikal mifrach. I could ask and continue and keep asking on that very logic. The one who sells the house in the walled city, shekenhura koicho legol oilam. Yes, hura koichoi. Bad news. Here we have what? A disadvantage because hura koichi legol leoilom, which means between now and Yovel, and in fact, even and forever, you can't be poida. Once 1 year passed, black hole. That's it, right? Before, after Yovel, gone forever by the buyer. Tomer b'makdish sheyofek ochel legol leoilom. A makdish, excuse me, has a plus over here. A makdish, it's true. The makdish, once Yovel came, he goes to the Kohanim and never see it again. You still have a lot of time till the Yovel. A makdish of the house inside the walled city, very very limited. 1 year and 1 year only. The one was makdish. He has very nice until the Yovel. If he was makdish the first year of the cycle, he has very nice 49 years. That's a lifetime, yeah. So how can you compare? And therefore the comparison is wrong. Therefore, I would say, excuse me, it's simple math. Look, he has more disadvantages than him, clearly. Take XX, take X, right? And therefore, clearly, that by him there's no half-half. But by him, I would say, of course, there is half-half without the Torah saying goal goal. That's what I think everyone wanted to ask here, clearly. You see that Pasha, I'm showing you numbers. I'm showing you, yeah. Here, how do you ignore half the stuff? There's one advantage and two disadvantages. There are two advantages in here. So here, shkoyach, here, of course, you can be poy the half, but here you can, and you could without the Torah saying it. Why do I need goyli goyel? Back to square one. Why do you need these words in the Torah? Answers the Gemara. Moicher bais. Yeah, says the Gemara. Ma le moicher. Excuse me, no. Omar le Ravacha Sava le Ravashi. Ravacha Sava told Ravashi, Mishum de ikal memer niader dina, because really I can say that the kal v'chomer doesn't work. You're right. Your question is too good. How do the art school explain niader dina? That the kal v'chomer is erased, right? Okay. Niader dina. When I want you to tell me what art school says, niader dina. Yeah, because the kal v'chomer doesn't work. Okay. Then teisi b'me'atzad. When kal v'chomer doesn't work, I'm going to, what's b'me'atzad? I'll bring two factors to teach me on the third one. B'me'atzad is all over Shas. I want to know what's the halacha regarding halacha C. I look at halacha A, halacha B. They have a common denominator to C. If A and B have a common denominator, and so does C, we'll bring C into the group. Okay? Let's see how it works. Moichels de achuza yochiach. We're continuing. What about Moichels de achuza? What about the field guy? Field day. Look, hey, he has Yafik Oilam. You see? Hey, he won this one. Yeah, you may be poidim till the Yovel. Yes. Yafik Oilam. And yet, everyone agrees you can't do half. Oh, so the Choira, that shows you that your math is wrong. In other words, that fact as of itself, the fact you can be poidim till the Yovel, doesn't grant you right away the assumption that yes, of course, I would know you can always be poida half. Look, this one you can be poida till Yovel, and still you can't be poida half. Says the Gemara, no, but look at the other factor. And Merches Dachuza has a disadvantage. What's a disadvantage? You cannot be poida straight away. You have to wait for 2 years. Yeah, to have an XVV, right? Now, Moicher Bait Babot Arichoyma. The Moicher Bait Babot Arichoyma, where he will prove that what? That you actually may be poided early. So what do we say? There's an X and then a tick an X over here, right? So what do? The Chazer Adin, let's make one big happy family, one big common denominator. They both have one thing in common and one thing not in common. Let's review. When it comes to early Pidyon, early doesn't mean the same. That's one and that's two. But Lamaise, early Pidyon, a house, yes. A field, no. When it comes to later Pidyon, after the first initial time until the Yovel, a house, no. A field, yes. So they're both kind of balanced between them. Chozar Adin, Atzad HaShovesh Shebahen, the common denominator is Shenigolin. Nigolin. He can always be goyal them. One of them can be goyal early, one only early. One of them can be goyal only late. Atzad HaShovesh Shebahen Shenigolin. And none of them you can do half. This is obviously Rabbanon, not Rab Shimon. You cannot be poide, neither of them half, neither the field nor the house. Afaniya vi Makdish. So to Makdish is the new kid in class. Makdish is the one we're trying to figure out what to do with him. Makdish is a question mark. Shenigal, then loy v'goy l'chatzoyin. Makdish too, I would say with my own logic, hey, don't be confused. This is after the Torah. I would say with my own logic, look, nobody can be, forget about all the numbers. I just see a general story here. Regardless of all your math, I see one common denominator. There is Geula, and Geula doesn't work. L'chatzoyin. You can't eat chazer, and you can't eat chazer, so probably I can't eat chazer either. Simple. That's simply what I would say. I would say Geula just doesn't work. Half, finish already. That's what I would clearly say. Comes a Torah with a tremendous chiddush. I would have not known otherwise. Goyli God that you may parents. Yeah, that's only after the Torah was mechadish. Yeah, Goyli Goyel comes to tell me that lechatzoin may work against the logic because it swims against the tide of all other geulos. Simple, simple, simple. Very good. Okay. Questions? Yeah. Okay. Questions. North Korea? No. Question. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Let's continue. Fragt the Gemara. The Gemara is not asking a question. The Gemara is asking a question as follows. Yeah. Okay. Amale Marzuta Beder of Mari Ravina. Marzuta Beder of Mari wants to challenge what we just said, asking Ravina. Ika lemeifrach. I could ask you the following question. Malatzad shovesh shebehen, meaning both the field seller and the house seller have something in common that the makdish doesn't. What is that? Shekenhura koichem ligoel beshono shnia. This is a very, very, very sticky question. Very sticky. This is 2, this is 1. It's not the same number, you know. In other words, we kept talking about some very, general, fuzzy, cloudy kind of thing called early pidyon. It's not the same. Why? Buy the house within 1 year, you're allowed to be poida. From the 2nd year onwards, you already cannot be poida, right? Too late by the house. By the field, for the first 2 years, that's 1, and 2, you cannot yet be poida, only later. So some funny common denominator is the 2nd year. Here you already can't, and here you're not yet able to. But at the end of the day, hey, that's a common denominator. That's why when I was 14 years old in Tel Aviv, all over the country, there were not sneastic, there were a lot of non-sneastic posters all over the streets of women not respectfully, whatever, being very gentle. And there were 2 groups that very strongly opposed it, the Haredim and the feminists. Very, very, very different group. And they're united kind of because of the same cause. They had the same cause for very, very different reasons, right? That's preachers and that's objectifying, yeah? So I'm saying, Lahavdil, yeah, the Sod HaChuza and the Bais, they find a common denominator. The 2nd, hey, what about the 3rd guy? What about Hekdesh? Yes, you can be poidim in the 2nd year. So your formula is wrong. I would ask you as follows. By them, we found a chumrah that in the 2nd year you can't be poide, and that's why maybe you can't be poide when it comes to half. Masha'enken, when it comes to the day of the hekdesh, you can be poide in the 2nd year, so maybe you will be able to logically be poide when by half without the pasuk telling me that. Oh, let's see the Gemara. They cannot be redeemed the 2nd year. Toimer b'makdish, a guy who's makdish is field. Oh, he may be poida in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th year until Yovel. Focus on Shana Shnia. We broke that beautiful, unity of all 3 of them together. They're not together. Here comes the 4th kid. The 4th factor comes to the formula. We don't have to write it on the board. Eved Ivri. What's Eved Ivri? Eved Ivri anim kol Eved Kechovim yichiach. Eved Ivri sold to an Eved Kechovim. That's good, refreshing our memory with good chazara. Shiyoth kochel gol b'shana shniya. Of course. And Eved Ivri ASAP, quickly, before he becomes Christian, before he becomes Chiloni, before he's off the derech, ASAP, all the relatives have to get together, cause match, get him out of where? Of the guy's house, of the Zor's house. Of course, Shana Shniya, all the time, yeah. And yet, we have established, if you remember, that you cannot redeem him halfway. We spoke about it. As much as we want him out, there's a Gzer Sakosub. You don't do halfway job. you poida the entire thing. Yeah, and therefore, same thing with Hekdesh. Same thing with Hekdesh. I would say, without the posek, I would have said that you may be able to be poided whenever you want till Yovel, but you are not poidel chatzoim. Just like the Ivri comes the Torah, go legal. The Torah tells me go legal to tell me the Torah is to tell me you can be poided Hekdesh halfway. New question. So the chart is right. The chart is there. Same thing, except that, yeah, okay. Except that we now have an additional thing. They have a divri sold to a guy. He may be not nigel chatzoim. It can be poured him all the time. Till when, by the way? Till Yovel. But Yovel goes out of the guy. Yeah, similar to Hekdesh. No, Hekdesh doesn't go in Yovel. I'm sorry. No. He goes out. Yeah, but Yovel goes out from the guy's house. Yes, of course. Every divri to go. Yeah. The guy has to, we're talking about the guy that listens to us. Now, new question, kind of new question. We're again talking about the house, okay, which was sold inside the walled city. Nigale kroivim or enigale kroivim, which means when we say that kroivim must al koicho shel lokeach, which means if kroivim approach the buyer, let's say in the case of a sode, yeah, okay, a sode achuza, for example, I don't have, let's say I sold my sode, my field outside, I don't know, wherever, or wherever, yeah, I sold the field, the family gets together, whether they're forced to or they're not forced is the question, they get together to redeem the field from the buyer, and the buyer says, no, I bought the field, he is forced, no, they can force him to, yeah, to sell it back to them after 2 years have passed, right? That's a halacha, because halacha really wants the fields to always be owned by the original family, and therefore usually we don't like forced sale. Here the Torah does endorse it, and Beis Din will back them. If they give you the fair money, the fair amount, they're playing fair, you have to give it back to the family. It's not called mecher, it's called pidyon, geula. These are very, religious words, yeah? You have to do it, yeah, he has to give it back. That is true about sode. The question is, batar rechoima. Oh, that's a question. If I sold my house in Akko, yeah, and I have a house in Akko, I sold it to someone. Within the first year, all the brothers and cousins quickly want to redeem it. Can they force it out of his hands, redeem it against his will, and be gone? If he wants to sell it back, that's not a chiddush. Why not? Free country. But can they force it actually and give him the money and take it back and retrieve it from him? Yes or no? What's the question? Geulosa misdeh chuza goma. By sdeh chuza, it does say that you may force it. Yes, the kroivim may come and buy it back whether you like it or not. And we learn gzerashova geulosa. Masdeh chuza ain't an igeres lechatzoin. As we established, lekula al masdeh chuza comes to chatzoin. You cannot do half by the sode. And yet, when igeres lekroivim, the relatives may be goyel, may force to buy it back from him if it's done halachic way. Afhainami ein nigal lechatzoin. Oh, that one is not nigal lechatzoin, obviously according to Rabbanon. This house, which is not nigal lechatzoin, we're talking Rabbananese now, not Rab Shimon, is what? Is not nigal lechatzoin. V'nigeles lekroivim, v'nigal lekroivim. I would say, yeah, the Gzera Shava is teaching me about two similar things. Yeah, just like over here, they may be forced, so too may be forced to give back the house. Or maybe not. Oh, the words, how do we know, by the way, that you're not allowed to redeem the field halfway? It says, Kedei geulosoi. Small print. Kedei geulosoi. Kedei, enough money. Geulosoi. So the word geulosoi is written regarding not doing half. It's not written regarding kroivim. In other words, the question is, how far do you apply Gzera Shova? In other words, do you apply the Gzera Shova to the entire parsha, or do you apply the Gzera Shova just to this particular halacha? In other words, when it comes to not poi the half, you learn from here to here, geulosoi, because the word geulosoi is written regarding not doing half. Now you want to tell me the geulosoi should also apply to krovim? Krovim is written in a different pasuk. So do you expect, it's an interesting question all over the Torah thing. Do you expand the Gzer Shava to the entire parsha or just to that local little spot where it's written? Nafkamina, here Geolosa is not written directly about Kroivim, but maybe, excuse me, not written regarding Kroivim, yeah, but maybe it still does apply to Kroivim, just like you can force them to get the field out of the guy, force the field out of the guy with money, so to buy the house, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe the Gzer Shov is expensive, maybe not. Or Malay Einunigal simply says no. Einunigal, which means when it comes to the person who sold his house to somebody and the house is in the walled city, Einunigal, which means if the relatives come and they start, putting pressure and they're saying, sell us back the house, then no, Einunigal ba kroivim, not necessarily. Meaning, if the person himself redeems him, then yes, but not the krovim. If the relatives, they can't force it. The person himself, yes, otherwise there's no chiddush of geula. He may. Now, Eisivei comes now a question. It says all these psukim at the end of Vayikra and Behar, all these psukim talk about geula of the land, of the house, levim, which we didn't discuss yet. I don't think it's discussed here. All a person sold to a goy. You have a lot of things, and also there's two common denominators. Sometimes kroivim are goyel, sometimes the yovel is goyel. That's a parsha of yovel, Behar, right? So the yovel gets everything back from the owner, most things. Eisivei. Comes the question. It says, "B'chol geula titnu." Yeah, it says you should give geula, redeem everything. What do you mean everything? Yeah, everything was already discussed in the parsha. B'chol eretz achuzazchem geula titnu la'oretz. Yeah, wherever you are, the entire land, you should just redeem everything. Redeem, do geula, redeem, buy back everything. What's everything? We discussed already all kinds of things. What is it coming to mechadesh, to be merabe, to include more? Lerabois batim, to include houses. The rabbis batim, the eved ivri, and also an eved ivri that those two shall be nigal by kroivim. Kroivim may interfere and force the buyer of their uncle, their nephew, their brother to sell it back to them, back to the family. Rabbis batim be'eved ivri. Oh, now let's leave eved ivri alone. Now the eved ivri that's sold to a goy. But l'rabbis batim, what's batim? My love, oh, here's our houses. You told me that you cannot force and be poide. The kroivim cannot be poide base the house, base arichoimo from the person. We say in the Brisa you can. The pasuk that says everything, yeah, bakol yeah geula, also the geula is all over the place. What comes to include batim? And says the Gemara, he's a new term now, but don't be scared. There's a new term, but it's okay. No, we're talking here about the house that's yeah. Okay. Sorry. What is the big exception to all the rules? Yeah. Answers the Gemara. Now the Gemara is now rejecting it. So we want to say Bata Chatzerim. In other words, no, don't reject what I said. When it comes to Bata Rechoimo and Echanami, you cannot force it. Eino nigal. When it comes to Bata Chatzerim, yes, nigal. Good. Correct the Gemara. Bata Chatzerim behediksiv behu. But Bata Chatzerim, it's written beforish. It's written behedia. It's written outright. I don't need an extra pasuk for that. The fact that Bata Chatzerim, the relatives can come and buy it back from the guy, that's not a chiddush. It says al sdeh ha'oretz yichoshev. The batim, the houses that are outside the walls, are considered like a field. Al sdeh ha'oretz yichoshev. A relative of someone, and that someone sold a house, and I heard about, or a field, let's say. Am I mechuyev? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Am I mechuyev actually to be pointed the house of my relative? Or can I go on and give the money to other things, to kids with cancer? The Torah says you have to, maybe. What do you mean, why the Havamina? Because maybe the Torah says so. So what? You have to take care of a relative. What do you mean? What kind of question is that from you?
So that now you're gonna go
Yes.
and pay your money
Yes.
so that he gets his house back?
He may belong to you now. Yeah, what are you talking about? Because it's very important for the estate to be back by the family's hands. It may be owned enechinami by them. That's another shaila. But the family will own it back, and it's very important. Yeah. Okay. That's a question. The according to Rabbi Eliezer, the relatives are mechuyev to buy back the field. They would own it, but the family has to own it back. The Tanya. Let's see. I'm not sure. I think they would own it. The Tanya. The goal is mimkar ochiv. A person may be goyel, redeem back what his brother sold. Reshus. It's only permission. It's not choiva. If you want to, yes. If you don't want, no. It's a mitzvah, but not a chiyuv. Maybe it's a mamish obligatory. Maybe it's mandatory, not a reshus. Talmud loimer ve'ish ki lo yeh lo goyel. If a man has no goyel, let's say a man has no relative to redeem back. Every person has relatives except for a ger, and gerim anyhow didn't get part in the land. That's a different story. What they got is a different shaila. But the ger is not. Every person has goyalim. Maybe 15th cousin who lives in I don't know where in Bahamas. Ela zeh sheyesh lo ve'eno otzelikach shel shus beyodoi diva b'Yeshua. En lo goyel means he has brothers, he has sisters, he has father and children. Nobody wants to be goyel, and they're allowed to not want it. That's Rabbi Yeshua. Thank you for just waiting one more line. You're obliged, you're obligated to buy back your brother's field. Maybe it's only permission. Who told you that you have to buy back the family's assets? Very good. That's what the Torah is coming to tell me. That general pasuk b'kol geula titnu is not coming to add anything. It's not adding a house neither here nor there. It's just telling you in general that if you have to, you have to. You're mechuyav if you have the money. I mean, you have to b'kol geula titnu. You have to give your geula, pay the money, and get the field back into the family. It's like midyan shvuim. In other words, that the field has to go back to the family. It's an extremely important value in Judaism. We are so far away from Mashiach times, from Beis Hamikdash times, from owning real land in Eretz Yisrael, for being divided to Shvatim. We don't think that way. We think of our house in I don't know, West LA. But back then it was not back then. Halachically, it's important to have the family's assets within the family. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it. Thank you very much. Atzlach Rabba. Freilichen Chanukah. We paskin, no, actually not. We paskin according to Rabbi Yeshua. Weiter. You buy it back, Rabbi. Okay. Atzlocha brocha, a good Shabbos, Freilichen Chanukah, blessings to all, and Mashiach soon.